Welcome to South TV. This is Monica Kunzekwe Gutta. I am here today with Darlene Petrie. Is that right, Darlene?
Petrie.
Petrie, okay.
like the land beyond the times. Petrie.
Right. And today we are talking about scam prevention. This is becoming a menace in our communities, in our societies, and I remember watching a TV documentary where the police in Australia were saying that they are losing the battle to these scammers, but it is because we are not working together. And also it is because when it's issues of the heart, more often than not, people don't want to listen either to their intuition or to family members who are warning them against the scammers, because they'll be thinking, I have found love. So I'm going to allow Darlene to introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Monica. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever people are listening from. I can't tell you how excited I am about being here, being with you. To me, scam prevention is definitely my passion. I have actually been working in the helping profession for 37 years, and I'm a graduate of the Cape Breton University in the Bachelor of Arts Community Studies. Community has always been my passion. And I'm currently going to University of Calgary, working on my international relations degree. And because scamming is a worldwide phenomenon, like it's everywhere in the world. And so I thought, I'm over 65 and at University of Calgary, you get to go to university at bachelor level degrees for free. So I'm taking advantage of it. I currently am also very passionate about working with children and youth, and I'm involved in an organization that is run out of the States called Trees by the Water, and we're supporting a program called Children of Aluinu in Togo, South Togo, Africa, which is in West Africa. And those children have my heart. Like I could talk about them forever also. And then I'm also doing a part-time because scam prevention is what I'm at right now. I'm working with an organization, and we are really wanting to make sure that the public knows when their identification is being looked at, when it's being stolen. We believe that justice should be able to be received by all, so they can have legal advice, and they're all very reasonably priced. So I am doing some part-time work with ID Shield and Legal Shield. But today, the topic is scam prevention, and we know that there are many, many different types of scams. There's identity theft, shopping scams, social media, but today I want to talk about romance scam. And I'm going to tell you my story. About a year and a half ago, actually it was 2 years ago, I was catfished, and which is romance scam. And catfish is when someone lures you by means of a fictional online person. They've stolen people's photos from Facebook, and that's what happened with me. I was playing words with friends. I love playing Scrabble, still do it. I don't chat with people anymore. But I was happy with my life. I wasn't looking for a relationship. I like to think of myself as being a well-educated woman who makes thoughtful decisions. And I just feel that because it happened to me, and I believe that it can happen to anybody. And I really want to inform people and get rid of the myth that romance scams are scams that are done only through online dating services and that they only happen to seniors. They come in all many different avenues. They target all ages, and it happens in every country. And there was a report put out February this year from the FTC in the United States Federal Trade Commission. And they have stated that romance scams for people 20 to 29 years of age had a double increased amount since 2019, and that 40 to 69-year-olds were once again most likely to report losing money from romance scams, and that people ages 70 and older, it just breaks my heart when I hear that somebody has taken advantage of our seniors and their median loss was $10,000. And because, everybody likes statistics, I thought that I would give some information on 4 countries. And I choose these 4 countries because they're the ones that I associate with people with. And that's Australia, Canada, UK, and the US. So in Australia, so these stats are for 2020. There were $40 million lost to scammers, and 3,708 people only reported. In Canada, there was 18.5 million, just over 1,000 reported. In the UK, $77.3 million was lost. These are just for romance scams. And 4,512 people reported. And US, a staggering $304 million was lost to romance scam, and 304,000 people reported. So a total, just in these 4 countries, $439.8 million was lost to scammers, and 313.7 thousand people reported. Those, to me, are staggering numbers. To me, what's even more staggering in regards to numbers is that only 5 to 10% of people report being scammed. So these numbers are only 5 to 10%. We have no idea how many. So, enough of stats.
Thank you very much for adding the stats to it, because it helps to put things into perspective as well. But also, when you look at all these 4 countries and looking at the numbers of the people who have actually reported, just think of those who did not report. So exactly. In your case, how did it start?
So, scammers are virtually everywhere. They are on different venues. I have personally seen them on personal development websites, self-help program websites, online games, even on workout apps, in the comment section, and social media platforms. I have to say, the one site that really, every time I think about it, I get so infuriated that in regards to self-help, there were scammers on a particular cancer site, a support group for cancer victims. And there were scammers looking for vulnerable people there. Like, that just ticked me off big time. Like, to know that they're everywhere, and they're seeking the most vulnerable people And also the people really who can't afford to lose any money that they're, well, nobody can afford to lose money. So in my case, I met the scammer that I was involved with on Words with Friends. I would usually chat with people that I play Scrabble with because I love Scrabble. But for some reason, this person was different. It wasn't because he was handsome, because he didn't have a picture of himself online. It was a profile of a cute little puppy. And I like puppies. And I think it was the flattery. It was like we would talk scriptures from the Bible. We would share scriptures from the Bible. He knew the Bible way better than I did. And it was nice to talk to somebody about those kinds of things. And I wasn't looking for a relationship. Like I was happy. I didn't, I just wasn't. Nope. My husband had passed away. I hadn't been in a relationship for 14 years. My husband had passed away, and I just wasn't. It was something that just happened. I do have to say that once I did see his picture, I was doubly smitten. He was handsome.
Okay. Only it wasn't him.
No, it was not him. It was a person who was, who stole his photo from Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. So at what point, how long did the interaction go? And at what point did you realize that this isn't what I was expecting?
Yeah. So it did happen after a few months, and just, the scammers do take their time. Some, they'll rush right into it, and others, this particular fellow took his time. And like I said, I was just, once I saw his photo, it's like all common sense went out the window. It's like out of my head, and my heart took over. So it was a few months before I figured out that I was being scammed. And by the time I figured it out, I was $800 out. And I thank God, truly, that it was only $800. Because there are so many stories of people being out tens of thousands, even millions of dollars. But my heart was broken. And I kept asking God, like, why? Why did you let this happen to me? I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was happy. I was happy with my circumstances. I'd be like, God, why? My heart was broken. I didn't even care about the money I lost. And just at one of these times where it said, like, I was just like, why? A song came on the radio. Love music. A song came on the radio by Matthew West. I listened to a Christian station. And it was called Do Something. And it had words something like, I shook my fist up to heaven and said, God, why don't you do something? And I did that. Like, those are things that I would go for walks, and those are things that I would do. And so the song said, I shook my fist up to heaven. God, why don't you do something? And then the song said, I did. I created you. It's like, all right. The lights went on. Passion just came. I can feel the passion right now came flowing through my body. This happened because I am to create awareness to prevent others from being scammed. And so that's, when I think of the multitude of feelings, like, it was just like that I had while I was being scammed, and then finding out why this happened.
So you realized that you needed to turn your lemons into lemonade.
That's right.
By creating this. And how did you discover?
I like I said, the heart takes over. You don't see, but yet, you still have that gut feeling like there's something not quite right. There's just, like it was red flags all over the place. That things like the quick to say how much they cared about you, you know, and how excited they are to come and meet you, and then there's the ask for money, you know, and it was, so he worked on his persona was, he worked on an oil rig in the middle of the Gulf, and that he his equipment broke. He was and needed money to fix his equipment, and he asked me for $70,000. It was like $70,000. Like I don't even have that much for my retirement, and so. So I, you know, like I thought, wow, $70,000. No, I can't help. But I thought, you know, and like I said, my sixth sense is telling me, Darlene, get out of this. But instead, I don't want to believe it. It's like I just, willfully blind was a term that I had learned in the last couple of years. But I phoned my uncle, because he used to work on the rigs, and I asked him, like, this is what he says happened, and this is what he needs. And he said, well, you know, my uncle said, yeah, those kinds of things happen. But usually, you know, they have the money to get out, and if he can't get off, and he would say that he couldn't get off the rig. And so I believed it, and and then, like, I didn't have $70,000, nowhere near that. So I said, you know, that I don't have it. And then of course they try to play on your emotions, your guilt. I want to come see you. Oh, you don't want to see me, you know, and just, you know, and using Bible scripture of how I'm supposed to help the person I love, and, you know, and help the needy. And it was an emotional roller coaster. But yeah, I just went to, and like, I just thank God that I didn't send the money, that my common sense kind of did kick in, but yet my heart was still really broken. Like, you know, and like I said, I did part with $800, and that was because, you know, like, he needed gift cards for, you know, like, to stay in contact with me. It's like, oh, I'm paying. Now that I think about it, it's like, oh, I'm paying somebody to talk to me. It's like, whoa.
Right. It's exactly right. That one right there, you know. If I'm going to be paying you to talk to me,
yeah,
maybe you shouldn't be in such an expensive relationship if you can't even find your own money to talk to the woman that you say you love. But obviously, because of the flattering and the love that he was kind of showing, is it not grooming? Is it not some type of grooming? What is it?
It's downright scamming.
The relationship, and they kind of make you believe that they care about you. They text you anytime, you know, they come up with all these sweet nothings, and you feel that, oh my goodness, this is the person.
And beautiful songs, like they, you know, like sending YouTube with nice songs and nice flowery words. And you know, around the time that I found out that I suspected that I was being scammed, I started copying and pasting the words that he was using, and I Googled them, and sure enough, there were many, many times when those words were used in his conversation. They were words exactly.
Right.
And I would talk to him on the phone, maybe once every other day, but it was always like he couldn't hear me, and I could hear that he had an accent, but I couldn't really tell the kind of accent because everything was always muffled. We tried a couple of times to video chat, but his camera was broken, and, you know, can you see me? I can see you. And and then there was one video chat near the very end where he actually used the person's a video that the person who he was using was online on a video, and he was trying to mouth his words to match what they were saying online. I'm telling you, there's a God and he loves me, because lo and behold, it just so happened I found out who the real person was, that belonged to the photo. And I happened to watch the exact video that he was using the night before. And so,
oh my goodness.
and so I sent him the video and I go, "Oh, is this what you were trying to say to me?" And and so I did a lot of the things that were wrong when I first found out that I was being scammed, because you feel that you don't want them to think that you're stupid. You want them to know that you are an intelligent woman or man, because it happens to everybody, all sexes, all of everything. It happens to everybody. And so I would tell him how I would think that he was a scammer, and how like all the different, that you stole those photos, that you're using video chat, and you don't need the cards, and this is how I know. And so I did, and all of those are wrong things to do, because what you're doing by telling the scammer how you determine that they're a scammer, you're teaching them how to do it better to the next target that they have. So that, like they'll know, okay, my voice didn't go quite right with that. I'll have to practice that more. I know that I won't use this site for my fancy words, and I won't, take these songs, and I won't use this site. Like you're teaching them by trying to prove that you are aware that you're being scammed. So, I mean, it's always my advice, as soon as you know you're being scammed, if you haven't lost any money, block, delete. If you have lost money, definitely block, but do not delete, and absolutely report. Like, just even like any kind of scam, people have to report, so that the higher ups, the powers that be, know that this is happening. Laws aren't going to change if there isn't, if it isn't demonstrated as a need. Yeah.
So when you say report, so do you report even if you have not lost any money?
Yes. Yeah, because they may need your information. They may need your contact. That person may have the same MO as they say that somebody else had, and if they can prove that it's that person, always report a scam. Even like I know people get those robot calls every day. Like, those should be reported. And now it's unfortunate, but some of our some of our persons that are to be of helping in some of the services that are supposed to be available to help really don't seem to want to hear it. But it's like, I'm insistent. It's like, you know what, you do need to hear it. Like you like, on the phone, like, you do need to hear what I'm reporting, and you need to take it seriously. Like, you always have to educate the people whose services are being told. Like, if somebody is pretending to be military and you're being scammed by them, you need to call the military and let them know. If someone is calling you from Service Canada, you need to report that.
Right, because I think a lot of the pictures that you see of people who are dressed up, looking posh, looking wealthy, by the swimming pool, by the beach, with an amazing body and all that, they use all these professions,
Mm-hmm.
which are trusted.
Yes,
engineers, by the community, not just by the community. So they use the military, they use the pictures of people who work in the Navy, police officers, firefighters,
Yeah.
Bankers as well, medical practitioners as well.
Yeah.
And then I think people should just pause and think, why is it so many medical doctors? Because they'll be wearing these scrubs, right? Why is it so many medical doctors are looking for love?
Yeah.
Because there are just so many of them. Like, have they not found someone?
Yeah.
You know,
I think
Go ahead.
one of the things that I get upset when I hear it, and it's like, so like I always say, first and foremost, follow your gut. If it looks too good to be true, then it probably is. However, when we are trying to improve ourselves, when we're trying to self talk ourselves that we do deserve, and someone comes along that looks handsome, I really feel that we really should not use that particular reasoning right off the bat, like that person's so handsome, that person's too good for me. And it's like, you know what, nobody's too good for anybody. However, there are other signs, because people shouldn't be judged by their looks, although I have to say I did. Like I said, I was doubly smitten when I saw. Because
So
he
I
was
think,
handsome, still is.
so I think that is what they are obviously working with. They are taking those pictures because they know that most people are looking for someone who's very handsome.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And so you get smitten, obviously, and you think, oh, me.
Yeah.
You know.
And I do have to say, sometimes people just aren't looking. Like in my case, I wasn't looking. And in many cases, people aren't looking. Like I've heard of situations where people are happily married, and for some reason, this scammer, they are well trained. This is their job. They are good at it. Like you can almost tell the newbies from the well seasoned, and they are very good at their jobs. And so, like for people to recover from being scammed is hard. Like everybody has a different way of healing. When it happens to you, it's like you have disbelief. You think, oh, how could I have been so stupid? You're embarrassed. You're ashamed. You don't want to talk to anybody, and you really start to lack trust in yourself. And you also lose trust in others, so you don't talk to anybody about it. And so, and basically you really beat yourself up emotionally about what has happened. And so the next time somebody talks to you and they are good looking, you, like I say, you self-doubt, and you just think, oh, that person wants to scam me. They want something from me. It can't be because I'm an awesome person. And usually they are awesome people. The scammers have taken their targets, and I use the word target versus victim because a lot of people don't want to feel victimized. They use the word target. Personally, sometimes I feel like I was a victim, but I was targeted. I wasn't, it wasn't like, oh, there's Darlene Petrie and we're going to pick on her. It's more of there's somebody who's vulnerable and who's a widow and who, will, so I'm gonna have that person. But you really start doubting yourself, and it's such a shame, because when you think of the people who usually have been scammed are the people who really have good, giving, kind, caring qualities, who trust people, and now there's that many number of people less in the world who trust people because
Right.
of these things. So it's
Because of that. You mentioned training. You mentioned that these people are well trained. So,
yes.
from your experience and with the work that you are doing now, tell us what you have come to know about the kind of training they get.
So I have actually talked to two people who one who had been recruited into the scamming industry. And they actually have a nice fancy title called social engineers. And so they are taught from a young age, like they are taught like from junior high, from high school, 14 years. They could even be younger, but 14 years is usually the young recruitment age. And they have rooms full of these youth who are being taught to scam people. They show them where to look, they tell them what to say. They and often you're not talking, when you are talking to the scammer, you're not talking to the same person. They do it in shifts. It's like when you're texting somebody, it may not be the same person. Like they kind of do a shift change. Like when you're working, you shift off, and then the next person comes in, and because they've been trained so well on what to say, where to look for the information, how to be kind and caring, and many of them do come from a background where they do have some biblical training, and so they know that they know the Bible. And so they do talk scripture, like I said, very well. So they're taught in that area too. And many of them won't lose it, so to speak. Like they won't, like when you tell them you're scammed, like they're even taught on how to defend themselves when they're told that they are scammers. They say things like, that wasn't, that somebody stole my picture, that somebody on there is lying, and they just really are taught how to defend themselves. They watch how to they watch their peers on how to do it properly. They and when they're recruited, they actually have to prove that they are worthy of being able to be trusted in doing this type of work and in being a social engineer. It's like just slate, just
Social engineers, do they ever retire?
they not really. They don't use the word retire. Then they become recruiters. They don't leave the profession. They continue doing it, and they do move around in the world. So they may be coming from one country, but they will go to another country and recruit people there and train people. It's like they're trained in big classrooms.
Absolutely, because if they are amassing such amount of money, it means that they can actually, they are able to travel, they are able to, to
So
go
the
anywhere.
breakdown of the money that they get, from what I was told, is that it's 30/70 or 40/60. So the new recruit doesn't get the 70%; they're getting the 30%, and that's usually how it's broken down. So they do get some, but. Well, I guess, if you've ripped off somebody of $10,000, 30% is a good chunk of change for them.
Yeah, of course, 10,000, but even those who do hundreds of thousands, it is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's also leaving people in a position where they can never recover.
No. From the money loss, very, 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 less than 1% of the people will get their money back. To recover something like this, like I said, people have their different ways of, their different ways of healing. It's, I think, like a healthy recovery. For me, the healthy recovery was recognizing that God's will was for me to be doing something about this, to educate, and I have to say, it took me a long time. Like I said, it's been a year and a half since I decided that I should be doing something about it. But I had the help of Monica for helping me with her coaching, and only 2 coaching sessions. It's like I have my passion rebuilt back up, and I'm able to be here today to talk about it. But really, I think part of the healthy recovery is, first and foremost, I want to talk to the people who know people who have been scammed or suspect that someone has been scammed, because I can remember when I told people I was scammed, I got the eye roll, and well, I would never fall for something like that. Or the look of, really? You? And some people say, oh, of course you. Like just different, like different things of reinforcing that, yes, I'm stupid. Yes, I trust people too much. Yes, I'm not good enough to have somebody, like just that real self-doubt was it. So I would really like people to know that if you suspect someone is being scammed, or if you know of someone, like, please, please, please help that person feel validated for their feelings. They may drive you crazy because they want to talk about it all the time, but you know what? They're hurting. They need to know. It's like what they've suffered a loss. They've suffered a loss from their emotions, from their heart. They've lost a loved one that, even though that person was not real, in their mind, it's still a loved one that they lost. And some have lost like thousands, tens of thousands, even $1 million. Like they've lost them. And they have many negative emotions about themselves, and they really, really need your support. They need to know that they're heard. So you need to help them know that they've been heard. And you need to let them know that you care about them. Even though, like I said, they may drive you crazy because that is all they want to talk about. But it's really, really important for you to listen. I think and help them build themselves back up to where they were before.
Yes, I think you're being very brave to to set this up, to make it your purpose to help other men and women identify and be able to protect themselves and protect each other, but also be able to heal from the loss. Because when that happens, in themselves, they believe they have a relationship, right?
Exactly.
Even though it does not really exist, but they're being offered what seems like a perfect relationship that they have with Prince Charming, right?
Yeah,
and the Prince Charming or Princess Charming is being there, is being present, is being loving, and is providing everything that they know because they have been trained. They've been trained on how to pull at anyone's heartstrings.
yeah,
And so when the person has totally fallen in love, then the reasoning goes out.
that's right.
So
So
when
there,
the reasoning has gone out, it is just the emotions that
yeah,
are driving every decision they make.
yeah. So
And
there are
decision.
things that
Mhm.
people should be looking for, whether it's through online dating or whether it's however they're targeted. Like first and foremost, I always say, follow your gut. And if your gut is saying step away, don't second guess yourself. And if it's an online communication, ask for a video chat, like within the first 24 hours. Don't accept any excuses for bad connections or not having clear vision. Ask them questions like, questions like, what's your favorite meal? And if they're saying that they're in a different country, well, what's your favorite food in that particular country? What's the favorite, what movies do you like? What book? And you'll find that lots of times they can't answer a lot of those questions. When you often they will say, okay, and they will say they are in your area. So you ask, for a meeting to be set up. And if they say that an emergency came up that they can't make the meeting, this is their number one thing where they're going to say, I can't come to the meeting. It's an emergency. I need you to send me money. If they're asking you for gift cards, Bitcoin, or any kind of currency, take that as a big red flag that you could be talking to a scammer. And if they ask you to move your conversation, say for instance, you are, like in my case, I was on Scrabble Words with Friends, wanted to take the conversation to Hangout, so I did. But like if they're asking you to move your conversation to another medium, if you haven't met that person, then that's a red flag, so. And your scammer will often ask you to send money. They want access to your bank account, transfer money to somewhere on their behalf. And yes, I was asked that as well. Take out a loan for them. And then I was asked that as well, like, oh, well, or sell your car, like there's
When,
just
when
other,
they ask you to transfer money on your behalf, is that real money?
it's real money. They want you to send money. So what will happen is they'll send you money, and then they want you to send it to someone else. And actually what it is so the scammer has multiple people that they're involved with. This is actually organized crime. And so they have someone that they are going to transfer money to someone, and then that person will transfer to them. You could actually literally be charged with money laundering if you're doing
Wow.
it. And people have been, a lot of men, women have been charged with money laundering because the law does not look at ignorance as being a defense for innocence. You didn't know, you know what? I guess they want you to know you should have asked questions. So
Right.
yeah, and they'll ask you to accept a package. They're going to send you a package. Someone's going to send you a package, and they want you to send that package on to someone else. It could be stolen property. It could be, like it could be jewelry. It could be money. You don't know what it is, but they just want you to transfer that package on to somebody else. That's laundering. So it is like this scamming business is a multi-billion-dollar organized crime setup. And a lot of people don't realize that as well.
So when they are asking you to move, you think, oh my goodness, they have trusted me.
Mm-hmm.
He trusts me. he's put 60,000 into me, into my account. So what happens then, or has there been any cases where they do that and the woman who's being scammed does not send it forward?
They could, so there's a couple of things that could happen. They could send you a money order and have you deposit that into your bank account. And then that money order will be found out that it is not real, that it is a fake money order. So you're out that, say, I'll say $15,000 as an example. So your bank account, you owe your bank $15,000. And that's the bottom line of that one. Like but you've already sent that $15,000 on to somebody else. If they're sending you money, like through e-transfer or Western Union or something like that, and you're transferring it to somebody else, that's money laundering. So there's, yeah. And it's sad because like when you're in that, they trust me moment, it's like you're flying high. They're sending you lots of money. And
yes. They trust me, and there's $100,000 that's been put into your account. Oh my goodness.
I know. It's like I just
that is scary though. That is scary.
Yeah. And I am searching more because I have a good friend of mine, her name is Vivian, had mentioned that she likes to study the brain. She's all about the brain. And she was listening to a documentary about how some of these things happen. So I don't have a lot of the information. So it's something that I'm doing research on, where the frontal lobe of your brain, when it sets into that mode of love, or infatuation, or whatever it is, it is a physiological something going on in the brain. So I'm definitely going to be looking up that. I really want to know more about that. I think that I really would like, people, if they can be aware when they're having conversations with people, like if they hear the words, oh, you're my queen, or at the beginning of the month, they say, oh, happy new month, or they're asking you, what did you have for breakfast? Or, oh, it's destiny. It's our fate. We were meant to be together. I love you. Let's get married. Those flowery, quick words, they are something to be, like to really think about. And if their occupation happens to be a military doctor working on the rigs, they own their own business. I have to, the person that I was talking to, the one that I was scammed, he actually sent me a copy of his $1 million contract that he had, because that's what he was going to get paid, and he was going to pay me back all the money. So yeah.
So if somebody is a millionaire and they're asking for money from you, it doesn't make sense. And if he has got this contract, it means that he can borrow against his home or whatever. But I think people do not think that far. No. When that is happening, they're just thinking, I'm doing this for my lover. But I like what you said about insisting on seeing them on live video within the first 24 to 48 hours. Yeah. By that time, you're not attached to them yet.
Yes.
You can easily drop them. But also if they refuse to come on video and they're telling you that their camera is broken or whatever, you just say to them, I'm not talking to you until I get to see you. Yeah. And just don't entertain them.
And don't send them money to buy a new phone so you can talk to them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just really, it breaks my heart every time I hear a story of people's bank accounts, being, and even young ones, like young adults, like if they're being scammed, like some of them have lost their student loans to scammers, like they have, this big chunk of change, they're going to use it for their education, and they've lost it because that person promises to pay them back, and it's heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking, and that money does not come back to them.
So this is serious. So it's affecting all ages,
Mm-hmm.
and then it is affecting people in different countries.
Yes,
Both
all over the world,
men and women. So we have seen women coming forward more. We know more about women who say, I have been scammed. Why do you think men don't talk about it that much, but they're equally being scammed by young women?
Mm-hmm. They are, yeah, and I think that it's the double standard, where it's okay for women to talk about these kinds of things happening to them, but they would be really ostracized by their friends, by their family, by the community if they're a man, because we still unfortunately live in a society where men can't talk about their feelings. They have to be the strong ones. There are some, men that are coming out and letting us, and letting people know that they can, or that they have been scammed. Like or someone will tell someone, that they know of a person who has been scammed. And I just really, really, men, you have feelings, you have a heart, you have a bank account, and you have retirement to save for, and you really need to talk about it. You really need to go to people to talk about it. And people, you really need to listen. You really need to allow these people to have their feelings, to be able to help them get back on track to where they were before. Actually, it'd be kind of nice if they could be back on track to the high that they were on when they were in the relationship. That would be a bonus.
Absolutely.
But
There's a comment here about credit card fraud. They use someone's credit card to buy expensive stuff. You should resend it somewhere else. But when the policeman comes, they come for you.
Yep.
Because you received the package.
Exactly. And
So
it was bought on your credit card.
yes, people need to be super aware, but also, just make sure that you are putting one and one together, or two and two together, to give you two and two together to give you four. Not two and two together, they give you seven. It doesn't make sense. If someone is telling you that I was born in the US, yes. So if someone tells you that I was born in the US, my mother is from Puerto Rico, my father is from Nigeria, we moved to Scandinavia, and then we lived in this. Why are you? Who has got that kind of profile?
Well, someone may, and I suppose this is where the idea of the 24 hours, like you say, or 48 hours of the video call, talk to them on the telephone. Like there are apps out there where you don't have to pay to talk to them on the telephone. And if they have if the conversation is blurry and are fuzzy and you can't understand them, then you need to really think twice. Again, I can't reiterate how much it is so important. Like I think it's like 80% of your gut feelings are right. If you're thinking this doesn't feel right, walk away. Like it's hard, but walk away, because if you're better off to leave the relationship early than further on, with your heart intact and a bank account still
And your
full.
bank account. That's right. So
And it
in
is
the
surprising.
scenario that I gave, if you pay attention, you
Yeah.
will be able to catch them. Because
Oh,
if
yeah.
they've mentioned all these countries, if
Yeah.
they were born in the US and they lived there until they were 19 or whatever, they will definitely have a strong American accent.
Right, exactly.
Or even if they say that I was born in Africa and we went to live in the US with my parents when I was 5, or we went to Canada when I was 5. Children do not maintain their original accent. It will definitely change. So people need to pay more attention to what they are saying. Ask them questions. Ask them the same question again.
Yeah.
Since it's more than one person who works on this account, ask them the same question again. And if they will never say you ask me again, because you're asking a different person.
Yeah,
Write
exactly.
notes
Yeah.
if you have to.
Yeah.
Have maybe 3 or 5 questions that you continuously ask, and put the answers together. And then work out. You will soon find out that this person is a fraud, and you cut the ties before you get too deep into it.
Yeah. And really, do you want a relationship with somebody that's across the country?
Yes.
Or
And
across
also they say
the world?
that someone is saying here they call threatening you about national insurance, and that they have, all that too. You don't have to answer all
No.
the phone calls that you receive. You can block them if you don't
Immediately,
recognize them. But also when you talk to someone and you hear that the profile that they've presented and the accent is different, I'm pretty sure everyone has been hit by a scammer in one way or another.
Yeah,
Whether
the
they are calling you,
robocalls.
whether they're calling you to let you know that you're owing your tax, or whether they're calling you to tell you that you have committed the fraud and the police are going to be by your address, you need to give them a credit card or whatever. Or even this romance scam.
Yeah.
Someone tells you and they say to you, oh, I live in these places. You say, where do you live? I think somebody made a mistake and said that they were from Zimbabwe. They said they were from Zimbabwe. I'm from Zimbabwe. And then I started asking questions. How do you pronounce your surname? He's saying the surname in it. I said, no, this surname is different. How do you pronounce this surname? So pay attention, ask questions.
Yeah.
And if you are not satisfied, just insist on the video call. Insist.
Exactly.
If they tell you that the video is broken, you tell them that we are not having a conversation until I see who I am talking to. I don't care what messages of love and care you shower me with. They mean nothing. If I do not know you, they do not mean anything at all. And so that you can keep yourself safe.
Yeah. And don't let them wear you down. Don't let them, don't let them, if they're threatening you, for sure, block them. You don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who's going to threaten you.
Who's going to threaten you?
Yeah, just block them. And if they're threatening you, you have it on your phone or your computer, wherever you are, communicating with, you have that. You can, and please report. you have to report. The powers that be need to know this. They do know, but they don't have the actual numbers. Like I said, 5 to 10% is all that reports. And that's not just the romance scam I'm talking about. This is 5% of the people in all scams.
But so the things that they use is their child has been in an accident, they need money for surgery, their child has just died. All these dramatic stories that make you think, oh my God.
Yeah.
You would think, if the child, and then they're using the child, if the child is ill, you as a nurturing person, you think, oh my God, what can I do to help save this child? They need surgery for 75,000. There is no child. These are small boys who do not even have children, but they have been trained to
just as an
pull at your
example.
heartstrings. Yes,
the person who was scamming me was a 21-year-old.
So have you ever managed to talk to any of the scammers?
Yes, I talked to the person who was scamming me as the scammer.
Okay, so what was that? What was that discussion? What was that like anyway? I know that we will have a separate conversation with that, but briefly, what was that? What was that like?
So that conversation was about, it was he was saying that, oh, you probably hate me, and I guess by now I'm not the person that I said I am in the picture, but I live in poverty and I have nothing, and it did happen to be a young boy or young man, I guess, who was from Nigeria, lives in Lagos, and he's saying how his parents mom and dad have died, and he lives with his aunt, and he had to leave school early because there was nobody to support him. So he was recruited to become a scammer, and he is, they apologize that they're really sorry, but often that's part 2 of their scam.
Yes, I was just going to say, how do you know that part of the story this time is sincere? Because if he had been groomed since age 14, he's now 21, he's pretty seasoned, and it's easy. You just sit by the computer and lie, and you get paid, Yeah.
And he had some pretty fancy bling on when we did the...
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So imagine, I think you would lose that. So we will be back here on South TV. We will be back and talk. Hopefully we will be able to invite being used, right?
Right.
Yes. So the scammer does not affect just the person they're going after. They also affect the people that they're taking their identities from.
Exactly.
It's a whole. This is someone who has got no heart for anybody, as long as they get what they want. So they'll do everything and anything to get what they want. So Darlene,
it's their job. Like that's the bottom line. Is it's their job.
Their job.
Yes.
And I bet they are told, don't put your emotions in it. Don't fall in love with these women. Just remember your job is to get as much money out of them as possible. So to conclude, Darlene, can you just give us maybe 3 points that people need to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, for sure. Follow your gut. I might have said that a time or two. If it's, and if you should really block them as soon as you suspect, block them. If you have given money, don't delete, definitely report. And for the people who haven't been victim of being scammed, keep your heart open, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. We say that about the Bible too. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, keep your heart open when they're coming to you, or even if they're not and you suspect it, you really be open for them to be able to talk about it.
Thank you very much. And
you can connect with me anytime. If you have any questions, I'm always available to. Like I say, my passion is scam prevention, and if I just help one person, it's like then you've helped more, because that person will tell somebody, and that
will
person
tell somebody else.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Darlene, for being vulnerable, and hopefully this will enable other women to come forward to talk about their stories and to help others bring awareness to this menace.
I really appreciate this opportunity, Monica. It's thanks for your drive that you have to get me out.
You can repeat your tagline again, that we can all help each other. Is that right? How do you say it?
Let's help one another.
Let's help one another. Absolutely. So we thank you so much, Darlene, for taking this time to share with us about awareness and scam prevention. If you want to reach Darlene for any help and support, she will give you more information. She's going to put her link. We're going to put her link for Instagram, where she has a lot more information about scam prevention, where you can go and read from her Instagram page. But remember, within the first 24 to 48 hours are critical, because you're not yet hooked to this person. This is the time that you should raise all your awareness. Make sure you see them, you talk to them, you see them, you hear their voice, you see their face. And if the network is bad, when they're telling you that they own an oil rig, when they're telling you that they are a doctor, when they're telling you that they're a pilot, it really means that they are in a place where there is no network. They obviously buy data bundles to be able to connect with you. You need to think about all that, of what is adding up and what isn't, so that you can prevent yourself from having heartache and heartbreak from losing an imaginary relationship, and the heartache of losing all your life savings, because people are cruel out there. Thank you so much. Please share this video with your friends and family, and also subscribe to, I will share our YouTube channel here. Share and subscribe so that people do not miss out. It might not have happened to any of your loved one now, but trust me, because of loss of jobs, because of challenges, and because of poverty, scamming is on the rise. Thank you. See you again soon.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.